What's going on with these popular symbols of Easter, particularly the ones that don't seem to have anything to do with the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ? I've been wondering about this recently, and it sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole. An Easter bunny hole, if you will, but we'll get to the rabbit part in a minute. First up, eggs. I had no idea that the symbolism of eggs is so ancient and is found across so many different cultures. It is pretty amazing to watch an egg hatch, revealing brand new life. This observation in the natural world likely influenced explanations about the origins of life itself. Spring is a time to notice the world coming back to life after a cold, dark winter. So it's not too surprising that this egg symbolism is associated with the spring equinox. And this symbolism has quite a heritage. Persian New Year celebrations of Nowruz, which coincide with the spring equinox, include decorated eggs on feast tables and date back over 3,000 years. Nowruz likely influenced later traditions like the decorated ostrich eggs of the Phoenicians. Okay, but Easter's about the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, right? It's not about spring equinox or New Year's celebrations? Well, in the early days of the church, Easter was closely related to Jewish Passover, which commemorates the rebirth of the Israelites following their exodus from Egypt. Some Eastern European Jewish communities continue to gift naturally dyed, hard-boiled eggs to children as part of Passover festivities, suggesting that Passover may be the origin of Christian pasch eggs, which are hard-boiled and decorated. These eggs are common elements of Easter, particularly in Christian orthodoxy. So eggs represent birth, and spring is the season of rebirth and renewal. Is it a coincidence that Jesus died at this time of the year? Probably not. Remember, Easter is a movable feast. The calculation of when Easter is celebrated is based on the moon, specifically the first Sunday after the full moon that falls on or after March 21st, which is the vernal equinox. This suggests the timing is related to other, more ancient festivals related to the beginning of spring, and tying Easter celebrations to familiar, long-standing expressions of rebirth and renewal may have been a shrewd PR move on the part of early Christian writers, who thought it would be easier to believe the resurrection of Christ if it was compared to the tangible proof of rebirth offered by the natural world. Stripped to its fundamentals then, Easter is about death and rebirth, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ is ultimately what all Christians aspire to as the immortal afterlife. While eggs represent life, they are also often part of death rituals and commemorating the ancestors, when life and death are considered two sides of the same coin. Since the tomb is a site of resurrection, cemeteries are great places to connect with the ancestors who will come back to life there. Phoenician decorated eggs tend to be found in tombs, and to this day, colored eggs continue to be taken to graveyards in Eastern Europe as part of ancestors' festivals at Easter time. So we can add some sort of immortality in for good measure in terms of the symbolism of eggs. And what about the Easter bunny here? Sadly, it's not all that clear, and it's very hard to find clear, solid historic evidence to understand this part of the story. The only consensus that I can find is that rabbits often represent fertility because of their prolific ability to procreate. Since fertility has long been celebrated and often associated both with the arrival of spring and women, there is some suggestion that the Easter bunny is related to pre-Christian female fertility goddesses, earthly representations of abundance and new life. How the Easter bunny got its job is even more confusing when you take a look at the depiction of rabbits in many medieval manuscripts. These creatures are menacing bullies. Not really what you want to encounter in the garden on Easter Sunday. Is this in part why the Swiss have given the job to the cuckoo, or why German traditions include the Easter fox? Still, so many unanswered questions. What is more clear is that chocolate Easter eggs are part of the recent commercialization of Easter. Today, Easter is the #1 candy holiday in North America, beating out even Halloween. We're talking over $800 million in candy sales in the week leading up to Easter. At 66 million kilograms of sweets. Talk about overt indulgence after 40 days of restraint and reflection. So the story of Christian Easter is unique, but many of the traditions have been borrowed from much older contexts. Perhaps with this in-depth understanding of these symbols, we can really celebrate both the resurrection of Christ and enjoy Easter eggs without feeling that they are somehow in conflict with one another, perhaps even blasphemous. Happy Easter and happy spring.